Hi, guys. Welcome to the Get It Done podcast with Erin. The podcast where I talk to business owners about their business, allowing them to share their journey, how they got to where they are today. The idea of the podcast, my prayer for the podcast is that someone who is scared, afraid of doing the thing, whatever their thing is, whatever their desire, whatever their goal is to do, business wise. My goal is for them. My prayer is for them to see or hear someone's story and be inspired by what it is that we're here sharing. Most cases, I am talking to people that I've never ever met before. When was it last or this week? I hosted a lot of podcasts this week, but this week it was the first week that I hosted people that I know. My cousin joined on. The other girl that I knew, kind of knew, excuse me, was a client of mine. And tonight's guest is also someone that I've met twice. So the first time I met her at um, I don't know what I would call it, like a meet and greet type deal. And then the second time we met was she came to get a facial. So I will let her go ahead. I'll add her to the stage and let her herself. Hi, Janet.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Did you make it back from out of town or are you still away?
Yes, I made it back.
Oh, nice. How was your trip?
It was good. It was a work trip for my daytime job. Um, but it was nice. They treated us really good and got to eat some good Texas barbecue. So,
It's always nice to get away from home, whether it's work or not. So
for
I'll just
sure.
let you go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know about your business.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Janet Figueroa, and I am the owner and founder of Miles Beyond Celebration Services. And it is a party planning service for living funerals or pre-death celebration of life parties.
What was it again? The first part? A living. Wait, say that one more time. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think like the term that I'm using is living funerals.
What is that?
So basically, if you have ever thought to yourself, like, oh, I'd like to, like, I wonder what my funeral is going to be like. I wonder, like, who's going to be there or, what they're going to say. Or if you've ever gone to a funeral and thought, you know what, so and so would have really liked this.
Right.
That's kind of where I come in. So my company is basically going to create a space where you can do that before you die. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it's going to be more like geared towards hospice patients and elderly who kind of know that they're on their way out.
Nice. And then, how long have you been doing this?
So I just started my business mid last year.
Nice.
And so I've kind of just been taking this time to figure stuff out and just building the business and doing it in the right way. So I actually have yet to have my first client, but I believe I'm there now, where I've like now I'm starting to advertise and because I really wanted to put a lot of thought into it and to make sure that this wasn't just something that I'm just like,
Went out there.
throwing out. Yeah. But to really have it be something meaningful and something, that's that's a huge life transition, right? And so
Yeah.
it's not something that I take lightly. And so I want to make sure that I have everything like in the right space in order to provide that.
Nice. So, who do you promote it to? Is it the family members of the person, or
So
who would be your?
generally, what I do is when I'm talking about it, I talk about it as if the person who's dying is my client.
Okay.
I think that towards the end of life, we tend to take a lot of things away from people, um, and we kind of forget um, their
Adult
wishes.
humans.
And so, yeah, so I really want to keep in mind that, hopefully the person has the capacity to tell me what they want and to be like, yes, I want to have this party. So my client will be probably the patient or the client, but but I'm sure that I will also have families that come to me saying like, hey, we want to do this for our mom, but I still really want, hopefully that there will be that input from the client themselves, like the person that is going to be the star of the show.
Nice. Okay, so tell me how this works. So, say we have Susie over here, and she's like, "Okay, I'm dying. I want to have a party." Or how does it? What is it? I'm just trying to get an idea of what it is.
I know it's a very, very new idea.
Right.
Um,
I think it's cool.
yeah, no, I honestly I get for the most part the feedback that I get is good. But so basically what would happen is you would call me up and say, hey, I'm really looking to do something before I go with all my friends and family. And then I will sit down and we'll do a consultation together. And I'll say, okay, what does this look like to you? Right? Does this look like all your friends and family, everybody that you've ever met in the world? Or does this look more like, your close family members and friends, that you have like a little circle around you? So my biggest thing is that um, I want it to be personalized. I want to honor the person, the guest of honor. I want to honor them and I want to make them feel loved and valued and like this is everything that they wanted it to be, right? Um, so the thing is that I think so my packages that I have are a little people ask me like, well, how much is this? How much is that? And honestly, it really depends on what you want.
What they want.
Like if you want to take everybody skydiving and that be your last hurrah or, whatever
Right.
joke I was playing when you were how old, then,
That looks
we can
different
make that
from a
happen.
tea
It's going to
party.
cost a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, if you want to just have it in your home and have, your closest 15 people around you, we can do that too. That's going to be a cheaper option. Um, and if there's something you can't live without, if you're like, I'm on my deathbed and I can't travel to Paris, but I need this baguette to eat, because that's the one thing on my dying bed that's what I want, I'll go and
Right.
get it for you, but
Nice.
it's going to cost a little bit extra. So I think that's like one of my main things that I've been like telling people is that it's very personalized and I will work with you on creating whatever it is that means to you. So what are your favorite foods? Like what are your favorite colors? Like what do you want to do and what's the vibe? If you want to have a big like you want a taco truck and a big celebration where everybody gets wasted, like a big last
Right.
birthday party, we can do that too.
I love that. How cool. How long have you been working on this? And where did the idea come from?
So I actually saw a movie that had kind of a similar idea. There was like a young girl and she was dying and she said and her friends came and they said, what is this? And she's like, it's my funeral. And they were like, oh, stop being morbid. And she's like, no, I want to hear what you have to say. It was all emotions and whatever. And I was thinking about that. I was just like, you know what? Like, I think that I would want that. Like, I would want to have people like around me, like sharing memories and, saying like, just all
Their
the things
feelings
in
and all
life.
that.
Like, we can't take stuff with us, right? Like, all you have is the people around you and your memories and stuff. And I'm like, I kind of want to do that, show people the pictures, and be like, oh, that was when I went wherever, Um, And so that kind of got me thinking. That was years ago. And then I have no idea. Like literally one day I just came home and was like, babe, I have this idea that this is what I want to do. And he was like, okay. He's like, is that a thing? And I was like, I don't think so. But
Nice. I mean, that's how it happens. Like we just, for me as well, like I'll have an idea and sometimes it'll take a little while for me to like think about it and ponder on it. And sometimes I'm just like, all right, here I am. Like, and I just go for it. So, I mean, I get it. But I love it. Someone says Be Brave LA says, I love what you're doing. This is so special. Another Facebook user says, this is awesome. I love the idea. It's such a sweet idea. What are you grateful for today?
what am I grateful for? I feel like I'm gonna put the earpiece in because I feel like I can hear you very well.
Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am grateful for so much. I think that I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. I think that that there is a plan for all of us, and sometimes I will go through like, I think everybody goes through dark moments, right? Like where they have like depression and just things, and sometimes I have to get down to like just the bare, like I'm grateful that I have legs that hurt because it means I can still walk on them, right?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I have to pull myself down to that level because I find myself like in a really like tough place, and I'm like, there's always something to be grateful for.
All right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm grateful for my daytime job that I just got a promotion at, and is allowing me to have a little bit more freedom. I hope my boss isn't watching. Um,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you, to be able to explore, this new job, and my family. I came home to, my husband and our dog and my stepson, and I just have an amazing support system around me. Like they have never ever faltered, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. Like I have a mom and four sisters, and they have been literally like everything. So
Nice. Support systems are everything, especially when things are hard or we're emotionally drained or whatever the situation is. Support systems are everything. Um, I was going to ask you, how important do you think finding a way to be grateful for things is? I asked this yesterday because yesterday during the podcast, one of the guests asked me, what is she said, how do you, because we were talking about being in the service business, and she's like, I have a question for you. She's like, what do you do when you have bad days? Like when I have clients and I have a bad day. And I just told her, like, I had to think about it for a second, but I was just like, initially, I was like, I don't have bad days. And she just started laughing. And
lucky
I was
you.
like, I was like, I really don't. But I had a situation, long story short, what I told her. I hit my head at work and they told me brain surgery. I didn't have to have brain surgery, but my thought process out of that was like, what if I would have had to have brain surgery? And what if something would have went wrong? And what if I wouldn't be able to like feed myself, walk, talk, like all these little things
Mhm.
that we take for granted? And that has never left since that situation. It never went away. So I'm always reminded, like, when bad things happen, because I'm not saying that they don't happen. I'm just saying I don't have bad days because my thought process is I'm still grateful. Like regardless of what's going on, it could always be worse. Life could always be a different situation. So how important do you think mindset and being grateful is, especially in business, since we're here?
um I mean, I think it's literally everything. Like mindset, honestly, sets it sets the tone for your entire day, right? Like if you wake up and like you're grumpy and frustrated, and then you go and you drive and somebody maybe doesn't even necessarily cut you off, but does something that you don't, is like inconvenient for you, and then you're mad at them. And then when you get to work, then you're mad there. And then it just like spills over, and something so little can turn into something so big,
Yep.
right? Like, I spilt like the little like creamer cup over, and I'm like, okay, what else? You know what I mean? And it's just like, wait, like that's like any other day that wouldn't have been it. You're just like,
I
oh,
would have just
okay,
got a towel and wiped it up. Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that um if you can put yourself mentally in that space, and also um just remind yourself when things are not, like when you're making something bigger than it needs to be, um I think not holding on to that can change your entire day and other people's day, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially like in business, right? Like if I'm frustrated and I'm, whatever, people feel that, right?
Yep.
Like people have, and they're like, oh,
Like, what's
well,
wrong with
that wasn't
her?
very nice. Yeah.
Right.
And so, and that can honestly make or break a client,
Hmm.
and that can make or break somebody's experience with you. And especially when you are doing something, and I think every service is meaningful, right? Like every service that we give, like even somebody making a McDonald's sandwich,
Hmm.
that's important
Yeah.
because I get really
My food.
hangry.
Right.
So
I'm like,
I'm
that's
like,
my
and then
food.
if I'm hangry, then I affect somebody else, and it's like that butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that it is so important. And I actually um I have hit the worst day of my life um already in my life. And so I feel like for me, um I I feel like I can handle anything because nothing will ever be that bad,
Yeah.
And so for me, like I have that extra, like, where I'm just kind of like, okay, well, it wasn't that. So
Yeah. I didn't go through that. Yeah. I was trying to think, like, have I ever had a worst day of my life? I don't know. I think that'd probably be something that I would have to think about.
yeah. I mean, something interesting, and I already can hear people being like, well, how do you know? Like you have a lot of, like whatever. But it was the day that my son passed away. And
I,
so that for me, I'm like, I already know, like for me, that was like the worst thing that I could experience, right? Like there's
yeah. I'm
there's other
sorry for that.
people, thank you. I feel like there's other people that like parents are supposed to go eventually. And like there's other people that we've created memories with, and we've done, and it's like it's sad that they're gone, but it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I lost my son that I feel that way, and maybe other people feel differently. But for me, I think that was like my
The
my
worst.
peak. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would imagine. But I also think it goes according to what we value. So a relationship lost according to how we value it is the worst.
yeah,
If it's
yeah,
most
you're right.
valued. Yeah. Um I know you're just getting started, but how long has it been?
So I actually formed my business in July of last year.
About a year. Because you're still
Yeah.
working on it. But is there something that you wish you had known prior to starting, since you started, that could have helped you better along the process to get you where you are now?
Um, I think that the group of friends that I have now that I've built in my networking circle, um, I wish that I would have had them from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I feel like those circles are so valuable, because I feel like with them around, like I can do anything, like oh, you know what? I don't know how to do this. Like, I can reach out and this person knows how to
And
do
they're
it,
like,
you
oh,
know?
that's easy. All you got to do is this.
Yeah, yeah. And so I feel like when you, especially us being women, I feel like it's always such a like woman eat woman like world. You know, it's like we're all in competition and we're
Yeah.
all just trying to, you know, and I'm like, it doesn't need to be that way. Like, we're all just still human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're all still doing, like, trying to get through life in, you know, whatever way is meaningful for us. And so, and that's what I was talking about with a friend recently was, um, even if somebody does the exact same thing as you, there are millions of people, billions, how many people in this world,
Yeah.
right? And everybody has a different um taste for things, right? Like, you do um
Facials.
facials, and a lot of other people do facials, right? But why did I go to you, right? Like, that's the thing, is like, why do you have the repeat clients that you have,
Right.
right? Like, there's a million, you know, people who do financial advising in the world. Why did I pick Stacy? You know, like, it's because there's something that attracts us to it. And then, so it's like, you don't have to fight with anybody,
Yep.
right? Like, even if you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, I can root you on, because there's always going to be somebody who sees your line of sight, you know, better than somebody else's.
Yes.
So, um, I I joined this group. So I actually have another business. I have a lot of things going on in my life. But I have a nail business. I sell like the dry nail polish for Color Street. And so I had initially joined this group of girls called Brunch with Babes. Have you been to that one?
That's how I met you. And I got my
That's
nails
how
done.
we met. Okay,
Yes.
that's right. That's right. You got the lines.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
And you know, I haven't had my nails, anything done to my nails in forever. I don't ever do anything to my nails. Since then, no one's touched my nails since you.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, okay. So you need to come over. Or next time I go get a facial, I'll bring some nails and we'll just like,
Like, girl, I
um,
got you. Let me see your hand.
yes, yes. I'm always looking, you know, like, because I'm actually like, what did I say? I'm a nurse by trade. And so like I'm always looking at people's veins and people's fingernails.
Oh, how
Like, what do you
funny.
got going on over there? Like, can I put a needle in it and can I put some nails on?
How funny.
So, but yeah, so in that group, the Brunch with Babes, I feel like that was like so important for me to like meet all these people. And now it's like, if you hop on and you're part of that group, we hop on and just like, I'll just be like, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing with taxes for my business. And I have like 6 people reach out, you know, and it's amazing because everybody just genuinely wants to help you.
Yeah, you have your circle.
Yeah.
I love that. How often, I mean, how important do you think that is for us to have the support? I know the importance of it. You know the importance of it. But please share.
You know, you cannot do business alone. And it is, I was actually thinking about this the other day and I was like, is there a business out there that doesn't need human interaction or like some kind of human, like, what is it? Like, you
And
know, for people to
exchange.
buy.
Yeah.
Yes. Like some kind of exchange. And I'm like,
Maybe
I can't.
banking.
Well, no, because you still need people to run the website and you
Well,
still need
yeah.
people, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
just feel like
We
it
need
doesn't
customer
matter.
service. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Like it doesn't even matter what it is. Like we are not alone on this planet, right? And so I just feel like we tend to think that we are and to kind of like bury ourselves in that and to not reach out um and I always heard that being a business owner is so lonely. And I'm like, really?
What does that feel like?
I don't know. Because actively surrounded myself with tons
People.
of people that
Mhm.
really like care that I succeed, and they all hit me up all the time. Like sometimes I'm like, you guys, I can't go to another mixer, like not this week. So I think that that's the importance, right?
I
Is
love that.
just, yeah, just finding people that um that not only, that you can affect with your business, but that can affect, you know, affect you. So
Yeah, we need that support group with whoever it is. And it's very important, in my opinion, to make sure that they are people that are also in business, because we can have a support group, but no one is in business but us, and nobody understands what we're doing. More than the people that are doing it too.
yeah.
So I think it's important to have the girls or the guys, whoever, that can relate to what it is that we go through in business. Um, One question that you would ask a business owner.
One question that I would ask a business owner. Um, I feel like a lot of my questions are technical. Like, I feel like there's not a whole lot of information about navigating the like legal aspects of it and stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of empowerment for following your dream and
Oh yeah,
doing things the way that you want to do it and putting your own touch on things. But
the
I'm
inspiration.
also like, so am I supposed to be filing like some kind of paperwork with the state of California to like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep,
I feel like that's
the
been my
actual
biggest,
how-to part.
right. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I can do all these things, but I'm like, I'm like not 100% sure that I've like filed all the right paperwork, and it's like, um, and I feel like every business is different and everything needs different licenses and there's all these things. And so whenever I get to pick the brain of a a business owner, I'm always like, hey, what'd you do? Like, what paperwork did you
How do I
file?
do
Who's your tax person? Who's your bookkeeper? I need to know.
Yeah, all the behind the scenes stuff isn't, it's not that often that it's just put up front. So yes, I agree.
And I talked to, I have a friend who, well, it was my husband's friend, but he's my friend now, who started a barbecuing business.
Mm.
And so we would actually go up and help him, you know, run his like pop-ups and stuff.
Nice.
And so um, there was at one point he said to me, we were like in a rush and we were doing things, and he said to me, I just want to cook. I just want to barbecue meat. Like, and I looked at him and I said, don't you know that when you're a business owner, you don't get to do that anymore? Like, you don't get to do the thing that you love because you're busy now. You're making sure that the people are getting paid, and you're making sure that that you're ordering enough stuff, and you're making sure that the front of the house is talking to the back of the house, and you're managing.
Yeah.
And and even as I said it, I was like, ew, like that should not be how it is, right? And so that's why for me, like I've kind of like tried to focus on getting the resources to have help, right? Like I'm not trying to do this alone. Like I got a bookkeeper because I'm like, I don't know the first thing about keeping like finances. I don't want to pretend like I do, and I'm not going to try and do it and then get audited and be screwed over. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, I'm not even going to pretend. Like I don't want to do that. That's not why I'm going into business. I need
Like I might
somebody
as well
that's,
get it right now.
yeah. Like I don't even want to get to the point where I'm like frustrated and then I have a huge mess. Like no.
Yeah.
Like let's just start from the beginning that I want to focus on the things that I'm passionate about, and it's not paperwork or finances.
Seriously, we want to just enjoy what it is that we are doing.
Hmm.
Um, what would you say to your younger self? So maybe you 10 years ago, and then you probably about 20 years from now. So your younger self and your future self. What message do you have for those people?
I think for my younger self, I think that I would say that it's okay to not be okay. Um, and that I think I would just, I think a lot of it would be mental. Um, I think that like I went through a really rough like divorce when I was young. You know, I was like an active alcoholic for a little while. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's things that I wish that I would have just been like, it's okay. You're gonna get through it and just like deal with it, like instead of stretching it out. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I wish I would have just had like a freaking meltdown, you know, and like
Yeah.
just dealt with it instead of just being like, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, you know, and then keep trying to like, oh, I'm the strong one, you know, like I'm this, I'm that, you know, whatever, and then just suffering for so long.
Yeah.
I wish
I
that I
think
would
that
have
is a great lesson that I've learned to just like sit in my feelings when I'm feeling the feelings. Like when I feel
Mhm.
like my feelings are hurt, or especially like in relationships, I like sit with those feelings until they go away so that I can like get over it. Cause I'm like, okay, this needs to leave. I don't like this feeling. So I just sit with
100%.
them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, just deal with it. Like,
Yep.
nobody wants somebody who's been, you know, shoving down their emotions for 25 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because it
and then
shows up
taking
in
it
our
out on you.
yeah, it shows up in who we are, in our words, our inner everything. It just shows up, and it's like, no, this has to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think like for me, it would just be like, you know, just freaking feel it, get through it, and just finding like my joy sooner. I think is and not being so stubborn. God,
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't so stubborn. I think that would have fixed a lot of things in my
They
life.
call me stubborn, but I don't ever agree with it. Like I'm like, I don't just because I feel strongly about how I feel doesn't make me stubborn. But my friends, they say, my guys, they say I'm stubborn. I'm just like, okay, well, I
Well, there's different
don't agree.
kinds of stubborn, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like the hard-headed stubborn, where like I know that I'm wrong, but I don't want to like admit it. I just want to be stubborn about it.
And
Like,
that's my idea of being stubborn. And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, I don't feel like I'm wrong.
yeah, oh, well, see that that's
Like,
another
because I
thing. That's
feel
another
how
talk.
I feel doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it, but according to my feelings, this is the decision that I'm making. And they say that's being stubborn. And it's like, it's not being stubborn. Like, it's being, I'm standing on what it is that I'm saying that I'm going to do or not do. So
Well, and standing your ground is different than being stubborn.
I agree.
And
Thank
I
you.
think that, and if you want to say it that way, then then I would argue that there's good stubborn and bad stubborn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Because if not, then you're just like tossed, like you're just going back and forth with things. And it's like, no, I have to make a decision on this situation. If not, I'm just going to be like, so, but
I
yes.
used to be very indecisive.
Yes.
Um,
Me
yes,
too.
very indecisive. And I have literally, and this is actually something I'm learning more now, especially in my professional life, is to just make a decision and then
Mm-hmm.
deal with it. Like
Yep.
deal with what happens after, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
nothing is set in stone. That's fine.
That was the hardest thing. Like, especially if it's like more than one option, like, or more than two options. Oh my goodness. Like, what? I have to decide. So, yes, I've just learned to just, like you said, just make the decision and move forward with it. I
Yeah.
agree.
I went through a time in life where I um so like I feel like I did life backwards. I was like in the beginning I was very responsible. I grew up fast. I was very mature. I went to school. I went to college right out of school. I got married. I got the white picket fence. You know, we had the cars. We had all of this stuff. And then went through a bad divorce and then I just like went crazy. Like and I went and I did travel nursing. I explored the country for 5 years. I moved every 3 months to a different place in the country. And, I traveled the world and I did all this stuff. And I had a hard time committing to a place, to being decisive about like, okay, like I need to behave right because I have to stay here for longer than 3 months, like, or do whatever.
Like I have to settle somewhere.
Yes. And so when I decided that was California, and I kind of was like looking for a place, I had like a legit anxiety attack when I was thinking about signing a 12-month lease on a apartment.
Yes.
And I was just like,
The
12
commitment.
months is forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I get in this mindset of like, it's permanent. And so what I had to do was I had to really tell myself, like, Janet, like, you don't have to stay here. It's going to be costly if you don't want to, but you don't have to stay, right? Like, I can break my lease. I can pack up all my stuff and leave.
Yep.
It's going to cost me money, but I can do that, right?
If that's
And
what I
so,
really want to do.
yeah. And so that's what kind of like broke me out of like this cycle of me thinking that like everything was permanent. And so now I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then if I change my mind later, like, yes, there's consequences, but nothing is set in stone, right? Except death. But
Yep.
everything else is like, okay, you buy a car, you make a bad, decision. It'll cost you some money, get a new one. Like, but in my head, I don't know why, I just felt like everything was like so permanent, and I just really had to like talk myself out of that, where I'm just like, you can make mistakes and you can, do whatever, and you can change your path, right? Like
Any
you can
day.
yes, right. Like you
Yeah.
can alter it, right? Like once you set your mind on something, it doesn't have to end that way. And
Yep.
sometimes it doesn't. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn, is because I had a picture of how my life was supposed to be. I've always been in control. I've always had like, and maybe that's from like when I was younger, I felt like I didn't have a lot of control. So growing up, it's like that's what I like clung on to. And so now I'm just kind of like, I'm like, I don't have to be like that anymore. Like I can just do something and then be like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. Like let's just sort of
I mean, but I think those situations are if we didn't go through those just horrible, well, for me, in my opinion, I can't say anybody else, but if I didn't go through like all the bad times and all the times that just like while I was in it just like sucked, like I wouldn't be who I am today. Like I learned the greatest lessons from all of this, excuse my language because I'm trying to stop cussing, but the shitty times were like the times that I look back like those were the situations that created me. Like I would still be a little girl. Like I would still be, I don't know, but those experiences are the times of my life that I can look back and be extremely grateful to God for. They don't feel good, but we learn everything from those situations. So we have to be grateful for those times too, the bad times as well.
no, and you're 100% right. Because sometimes I think about like, I'm like, oh my God, I am so, even though it was really hard for me, like my first divorce, I'm like so thankful that I am not like still stuck in that. Like I am just like, oh, thank God, and it really did. It shaped who I am today. Like if
Yes,
I never
divorce
would
was
have,
my greatest. Like I learned so much just about myself and different decisions that I need to be making and how to just be and not be. Like divorce was the one of the greatest blessings of my life because thank God that shit is over. But it has been just, or it's over now, but it was it was just life changing for me, mentally, spiritually, like everything on every level. It was just, I'm grateful for it. It was the most painful thing. It was the most hurtful thing and all of the things that we don't want to feel. But thank God for it. Like, and I think
yeah,
that life wouldn't be, no, I know life would not be what it is today without that. So thank you,
Yeah,
God.
100%. Like I'm like, yeah, I never would have gone traveling. I never would have experienced this and that, you know,
And
and I
that's what I
wouldn't
was
be.
thinking when you were like, I did life backwards. I'm like, that sounds like a good plan to me. Because the younger we are doing stuff like that, the you had a little bit more wisdom, I would assume, doing it a little later, maybe, kind of. You
I
had
don't
fun.
know that you would have said that when you saw me, but
Well,
no, I
you were
agree.
enjoying yourself, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was fun. And could
100%.
you imagine doing that at this age, like today?
Oh gosh, no. So I am like super happily married now, and I am like, thank God. Like we'll go out sometimes, you know, we'll people watch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're on the first date, and then I'll be like, are you so glad we don't have to do that anymore? Like, oh my God, yeah, like that's yeah, miserable, but
Yeah.
yes, I am. I'm grateful for all the things that, you know, that led me here. Even um, and that's one of the things that like I think I have a interesting viewpoint on um my son's death is that I think um that it was part of God's plan, right? Like he doesn't do anything for nothing. And so I'm like um I have to find out what that was, right? And so, you know, had I had him, I wouldn't have this business, you know, that hopefully is going to, you know, touch people and, you know, bring that because you know, I would have been stuck in, you know, mommy world and, you know, whatever. And you know, I named my business is partially named after my son. So his name was Grayson Miles.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh. And so then it's Miles Beyond Celebration Services. Um, so yeah, I feel like I'm like, okay, I have to find out what his purpose was here, and then I have to turn that into something, you know, positive and something good.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I've been working on is just giving like good meaning to his life, you know?
Yeah. I cannot imagine. But yes, I do agree that everything happens for a reason. And I don't think we have to have an understand. Like, what if you never get an understanding as to why? Like, God does things, and I'm like, I don't know why. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and I'll probably never get that answer to certain things, but it's all according to His plan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sometimes the plan is very confusing for us, but
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm trying to, you know, to use it to in a positive way rather than, you know, I think like right after he passed, you know, there was a lot of drinking and, you know, like self-soothing in that way. And it just kind of hit me one day where I was like, no, this isn't it, man. This isn't the way to honor his life, you know?
Yeah. Yep, and that's how it goes. We have a moment where we're, especially when it is going downhill and we're doing things to sabotage ourselves. There is always this moment that comes and like, hello, what are you doing? This, like you said, this ain't it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it happens. And your message to yourself 20 years from now.
Uh, a message to myself. I think it would just be like, wow, that was fast. No,
Seriously, because that's
I'm
where I'm
like,
at now.
that's gonna be next week, man. Like, what do you
For
mean?
real. Yes, time is
I
flying.
honestly, I think I would just, um, you know, just like hold on to the little things. Like, I feel like life is, yes, like life is made up of like, you know, these like big moments and oh, like we went on vacation and that was a great week. But the majority of our life, 99% of it is made up of our everyday moments.
Yep.
And so just to focus on that and to um not to forget that, right? And just I think just being like proud, like proud of myself, and just being like, look at, you made it. Like, look at all the stuff that you did, you know? And so that's, yeah, I don't know. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's your message to yourself. What are you most proud of for as today?
I am most proud of my family. Yeah. I think that uh we've all been through a lot, a lot, a lot. I could do like podcasts with you every day for like 3 years. You know, like there's so much to say, but man, I'm just proud of getting through the stuff that I have been through and that we have been through in like one freaking piece, and being honestly semi-normal. Like, I don't know, like what everyone else would say how normal
Right.
I am, but like I'm pretty decent, you know, like
According to you.
I'm not on Figueroa Street. I'm not, I'm not doing drugs. I'm not drinking, like whatever. I'm like, damn, okay, I turned out kind of normal. So
I
I'm
made
pretty
it.
proud of that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's something to be proud of because yes.
I'm keeping it
Okay.
together.
Back to business. What is your favorite thing about being in business?
I love people. I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories.
Me too.
Um, that is like one of my favorite, like things about this is that anytime that I say, tell somebody what my business is, or, even sharing like my nail business, I feel like I always get a story in return, right? And it's like, and it's just absorbing like little pieces of like other people, and um, which I think forms who we are as well. And so, and I think that everybody has a very valuable, and I was thinking about this the other day, is that like, I think I have some crazy stuff in my life, right? Like I've gone through some things. If you ask anybody that, they will say that, right?
Yeah.
There's the vast majority of people have like stories and can be like, dude, this weird thing, like
Everybody.
even on a weekly
Everybody has to.
basis. Yeah.
Yes.
So like everybody has that. Like how cool to just talk to everybody and just hear everybody's crazy stories. Like
Yeah.
life is
Seriously.
crazy. It's
Yep.
crazy.
It
Yeah.
is. Yes, I agree. I agree. Um, we can't make it out. I mean, when you were saying that, what I was thinking was like, if we're living life, like stuff happens. So, yes, and crazy, crazy, like unimaginable stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
my own stuff. But like even listening to other people, I'm like, what? Like that happened? But we all have it. Like,
Yeah,
um,
nobody has it normal, man.
yeah.
Nobody. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
For we have normal moments, like we have normal time periods, but then it's like it's waves and it comes and it goes, and but that's just life. Like when stuff happens, especially to my closest friends, because I could come off a little insensitive, so I try not to talk much to people when they talk about stuff. But with my friends I'm able to because they know who I am. But my thing is I'm always like, okay, that's life, like, and then they understand. I mean, whatever the situation is, I end up going further into my point. But and then they're like, you know what, you're right. Like, we just gotta thug it out. Like we do. If we're gonna be here, it's no point of being like, not to say don't be sad, because yes, give ourselves time to do that, but don't do it too long. Like we got to get back to it. We got to bounce back to whatever it is, whatever the goal is. Like, come on, let's go. We can't. But and I'm grateful
Do
to
you
have people with, huh,
do you have merch yet, by the way?
merch, like
Yes.
t-shirts.
Because you need a shirt that says that, like hashtag just thug it out.
It's coming next week. I got you. But I do. Yes,
Okay,
I am
I'm
working.
like, I would buy one for sure.
I have a t-shirt list of all these phrases that'll be on t-shirts. Like they're in my notes, but yes, I am working on t-shirts now. But I'm gonna add that to my list.
Okay, yeah, add
Um,
that one in. We gotta have that one.
one thing that you've always wanted to do, but you just haven't, business wise, like an idea that you probably have, like, you know what, one day I want blah blah blah.
Right now it's to have a client. I just
they're
I just want my first one.
they're coming. So what do you do to? How are you gonna like find them? What's the idea to find your clients?
Yeah, so that's the big question, right? I have been doing a lot of networking, and I have my one of my sisters is really she's like amazing at graphic design, and she just made me a brochure that I'm going to have printed up. And so once I have that, then I'm going to start going into, like just making connections with like hospice houses and like retirement homes and places like that, that have, kind of the clientele that I would
Looking
love
for.
to, yeah, would love to reach out to. And maybe I can make a difference in someone. I think the thing for me is that I just want people to feel loved,
Yeah.
and appreciated. I've been a nurse for a really long time, and I've seen a lot of people die. I've been the only person in the room when a lot of people have died, and and so this kind of ties into like my story of my why, is that I had this one patient, and I called her family because I used to work in the hospitals. And I called her family and I said, hey, you guys should probably come. Like, it's not going to be much longer. And they said, oh, we can't see her like that. Just call us when she passes.
Aw.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And that's one of my most unfavorite things that people say. And I understand why people say it.
Yeah.
And I will never um, judge somebody off of that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just
but
sad for the person that's dying.
yes,
Yeah.
but for me, I feel like personally that's not an excuse. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, especially if it's like, let's say like your mom or whoever, it's like they've seen you through every worst moment of your life,
Yeah. Like they
and this is,
literally were changing your diapers, dude.
yeah. And like, when you were sick and throwing up and pooping at the same time, like there's stuff like that where I'm just like, and you can't even be here like for their very last moment. Like, do you
Yeah.
think that they want to be in this? That like
Right.
she was terrified.
But at
And
the end of
so
the day, they're gonna have to go through that, or maybe possibly, but that could possibly be them. Like I would be like, well, what
100%.
if that was you?
Yeah. And obviously like that wasn't my place to say anything, but I'm like,
Right. They'll be
well,
caught
you know what?
by
I hope
supervisor.
somebody, yeah, I just wanted to be like, I hope somebody feels different about you when you're dying,
Right.
so that you have somebody that's next to you, and so I went in there and I work night shift. And so, nurses have those computers on wheels. And so I got everybody settled, and I told one of my colleagues, hey, I'm gonna go sit in room whatever. And she was just like, oh, why? And I was like, I'm gonna go chart in there. And she's like, why don't you just chart out here? And I was like, because she's dying and I don't want her to be by herself.
All
Like, what
by
do you mean?
herself.
And so I went and I sat in there, and she was, I don't know how many dying people you've been around, but they start breathing different. And she kind of started doing that, but then she would like startle and like wake up, and I would just be like, it's okay, mama, I'm right here. And she'd be like, and then she would like start resting again.
Oh yeah.
And
But
so,
luckily you were there, because what if she would have started like freaking out or something?
yeah, I'm like, how scary to like be dying and know you're dying and then wake up in a like dark room by yourself. Like, that's what anxiety and bad dreams are made of. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I always remember her, and just like all the patients that I feel like I've, especially during COVID and stuff, like people that just had to die alone. And I'm like, God, nobody should feel that way. Like, everybody should feel loved. And I think that like our culture is so avoidant to death. when I'm like, we all do it. And there's
Yeah.
other cultures who celebrate it, right? They're like, oh my God, look at this amazing life you lived. And they have all these other things around it. And for us, we're just like, oh no, don't touch it. Don't talk about it. Like, you know, and like lock them in a room and you just like, no, why? Like, why does it have to be that way? And I want there to be a better, I feel like there's a better way. And we have to find a way to send our people, right? Like our moms, our sisters, our dads, like
The
off
people we're connected to.
into, yeah, into that next space, whatever that might be for you, in a healthier, calmer, more peaceful way, right? And then maybe it will help us in our grieving process too,
Yeah.
right? Where we can feel like, you know what, I did get to say goodbye. I did get to give them that last hug. And I think we lost our host. She gone. Anyway, there you are.
Okay, I'm like, wait, what's going on? I was about to switch phones.
I know, it's like, oh, we lost her. But anyway, so yeah, so I just feel like that's really where my heart's at, and where I just want to be like, oh, like, you know, for me, it's not entirely about making money, although it would be cool to feed my family off of this dream. I think a lot of it is, you know, is that I